Yo, what's going on, people? In this video, I'm going to explain the realloc function in C. Realloc, it means reallocation. We can resize previously allocated memory. The realloc function, it takes two arguments, a pointer to some old memory, and a new size in bytes. If you're familiar with other programming languages, the memory we allocate behaves very similarly to a dynamic array. Now, this topic is probably going to be one of the most complicated in this series. We'll take it step by step at a time. To work with the realloc function, we need to include the following header file. Include standard library.h. In this scenario, let's say that we're a store owner. We need to dynamically allocate some space for some prices, some floating point numbers. So, we're going to start with the malloc function and then reallocate it later. Let's say we have an integer of number. What is the number of prices that we need for our store? If we have 5 products, number is going to be 5. Let's initialize this to be 0 right away. And then we will ask for the total number. Enter the number of prices, :space. Then we will accept some user input. Scanf. We're accepting an integer, %d. Store this at the address of our number variable. Now we're going to dynamically allocate some space, but we're not going to use the realloc function right away. What are we storing within our dynamic memory? Well, we're storing prices. An appropriate data type would be a floating point number. We're going to be returned with a pointer to some dynamic memory. Let's name this prices. It behaves like an array if we access it. Now we're going to use the malloc function, or you can use calloc too to clear it. Either one. We need to pass in a size in bytes of the memory we would like to allocate, but we're going to calculate that. Take our number for the number of elements times the size of function. Well, what are we storing? We're storing floating point numbers. With this formula, we can calculate the size we need and reserve that amount of memory in bytes. If we're dynamically allocating some memory, we'll want to be sure to free it when we're done with it. It's like renting an apartment. We have to return the apartment when we're done with it. To do so, we'll call the free function, pass in our pointer to free it. And then we will take our pointer, set it equal to be null. I like to think of a pointer as a key. Once we're done with the apartment, we have to return the key too, the key to the apartment. Now, as good practice, if for some reason we can't allocate some memory, we will be returned with a value of null. We'll check for that. If prices equals null, we don't want to continue, because if you dereference a null pointer, it can cause a segmentation fault. So let's print the following. Printf, we'll say memory allocation failed. New line. And then let's return an hexacode of 1 to exit the program. Let's be sure that everything is running fine, just as a test. Enter the number of prices, I'll just say 5. Okay, no problems. Now let's enter some prices in. We'll use a for loop. For int I equals 0, we'll continue while I is less than the number of elements we have. Then increment I by 1. During each cycle, we'll create a prompt. Let me scroll down. We'll say enter price number. We're going to insert an integer. I'll add a colon, then a space. We'll insert whatever I is, but I'll add an offset of 1 because I is going to start at 0, and price number 0 might not make sense to a user. Then we'll need some user input. Scanf. We're accepting a floating point number. The format specifier is %f. Then we're storing this at the address of our pointer of prices at index of I. We can treat this pointer like it's an array. That is acceptable. Then let's display our prices. I'll copy this for loop, paste it, and we're just going to display the prices using printf. If we're displaying prices, I'll add a $sign or pick a different unit of currency. we're displaying a floating point number, %f, I'll display 2 digits after the decimal. I'll add 0.2, and then separate each with a space. We are displaying prices at index of I. Alright, and this should work. We want to be sure that this base program is running. Enter the number of prices. Let's say we have 5 prices. Enter price number 1. I'll just make something up. $1.99. Price 2 will be $2.99. And I'll just go through all 5. Then lastly, we have $5.99. Alright, here are my prices. We have $1.99 through $5.99. Now, here's where Realloc comes in. Once we have our dynamic memory, what if we would like to add more prices or get rid of some? Here's how. At which point would we like to use the Realloc function? Let's say after we've already typed in some prices. We're going to ask if we would like to change the number of prices we have. So let's create a variable. Let's say int new number. I'll set that to be 0 right away. We're going to have a new number of elements. So let's create a prompt, printf. Enter a new number of prices, :space. We'll use scanf. We're accepting an integer. Store this at the address of our new number variable. Now it's time to use Realloc. What's the data type of the memory we're storing? We're storing floating point numbers. One common convention for Realloc is to create a pointer named temp. Temp meaning temporary. We're only going to be using this pointer temporarily. Equals Realloc function. We have to pass in a pointer and a new size. We have to pass in a pointer to the old memory and a new size in bytes. So let's take our pointer of prices. The Realloc function is going to copy the prices over to some new memory. Then we need a new size. Rather than just hard coding a number here, we're going to calculate it. Take the new number of elements we have times the size of a floating point number. The Realloc function will return a pointer to some new memory and copy the previous values over from our old memory of prices. Now, in case this fails, this will return a value of null. Let's check for that. We'll use an if statement. If temp equals null, then we will print using printf. We'll say could not reallocate memory. New line. Now, you could return an exit code of 1 to exit. I don't want us to lose the previous memory. We don't actually need to return 1 if we don't want to exit. Before displaying all the prices, let's add an else statement. We're going to take our pointer of prices and copy the address over from temp. Prices equals temp. If a pointer is a key, we're basically copying the key. Our pointer of prices now points at this new memory, rather than the old memory. Now, what you could do, although it's optional, if you plan on reusing this variable of temp, I would recommend setting temp to equal null. But that's not necessary in this case. Now we have to enter in some more prices. So what we can do is copy this for loop and paste it within the else statement. We're going to begin where we left off. We'll set I equal to the original number, but continue while I is less than the new number. Let's say the original number of elements was 5, and now we would like 10 elements. I will start at 5 then, and will continue till 10. We're continuing where we left off in the old memory. Once we enter all the new prices, let's display them. Really, we can just cut this loop where we display the elements and paste them within the else statement. But we'll continue this for loop while I is less than the new number of elements. And that should be everything. Let's test it. Enter the number of prices. Let's say we have 5 prices. I'll just make up some numbers. $1.99, $2.99, and I'll just go through the list. Here's where the Realloc function is going to kick in. We're going to change the size of the memory we've allocated. Let's say now we would like 10 prices. Well, now we can enter price 6 in. And we'll finish with $10.99. And here's all the prices. We have 10 elements. Each holds a floating point number. We have $1.99 through $10.99. What if the new size of the array is less? Let's test it. Enter the number of prices. I'll say 5 again. I'll make up some numbers. Let's say I would like to change the size of the memory to be 3. We have 2 less products in our store. Enter a new number of prices. I'll say 3. What we end up doing is copying these 3 values to some new dynamic memory. And then we're only displaying 3 this time. So with Realloc, we can take some memory and resize it. We can make it bigger, or we can make it smaller. Alright everybody, that's the Realloc function. It means reallocation. We can resize previously allocated memory. We have to pass in a pointer to some old memory, and a new size in bytes. And well everybody, that is the Realloc function in C.